Hello everyone and welcome. Today we are presenting the maths problem of the week, and this week I'm going to focus on time, more specifically on how to show the same time in different ways. In my example, I have went with a grown-up's very traditional working day of 9 and 5, and I'm going to show you the three different ways those two times could be shown. Let's look at our first set of 9 and 5. So I've got 9:00 AM and 5:00 PM. Why are those little letters at the end important? Well, without them, we wouldn't really know whether the time is in the morning or in the afternoon. AM is known as ante-meridium, or before midday, and PM is known as post-meridium, or after midday. Ante means before, post means after, and meridium means midday. So if you ever see AM, you know that the time is in the morning, and if you see PM, you know the time is in the afternoon or night. Now, this first way of denoting the time is known as 12-hour digital display, or a 12-hour digital clock. Let's take a look at another way to display the times of 9 and 5. The second way I'm showing is with an analog clock, something you may notice in the top left-hand corner of the video. Now, with an analog clock, the important thing to note is the hands on a clock. Now, most analog clocks have two hands at least. We'll only work with these two hands, so don't worry if your clock has more. Now, the bigger hand of those two hands is known as the minute hand, and the smaller of those two hands is known as the hour hand. Try your best to become equipped with saying minute hand and hour hand rather than big hand and little hand. That way it becomes a lot easier to display the time that you want. If you know that your minute hand is your minute hand and your hour hand is your hour hand, you're less likely to make the hands point the wrong way. What do I mean by this? Well, if we look at 9 o'clock, we can see the minute hand is pointing straight up at 12 and the hour hand is pointing straight at 9. That way we know that it's 9 o'clock. If the hands were to be swapped around, that would almost show a time of 11:45, which is not the time that we're trying to display. We're trying to show 9 o'clock in a different way. Remember, when it is o'clock, the minute hand needs to point to 12, and your hour hand will point at whatever hour o'clock. 5 o'clock, we can see the same thing. Our minute hand is pointing straight up at 12, and our hour hand is pointing at 5. And if those two were swapped around, it wouldn't make 5 o'clock. It would make a completely different time that's not the same. So, one way, 12-hour digital. Another way, analog. And the last way that I'll show you is a 24-hour clock, a 24-hour digital clock more often. Now, we'll look at 9 o'clock first. Nothing really changes with 9 o'clock. We see a 9 followed by 2 zeros. But 5 o'clock looks very different. We see 17. We don't see a 5 anywhere. How do I know that that's 5 in the afternoon? 5 p.m., 5 o'clock. Well, in 24-hour time, the time technically starts at midnight. Midnight is displayed as 0000. And then every time after that is how far after midnight it's been. Now, 5 o'clock in the afternoon is 17 hours after midnight. That's why our 5 p.m. is 17:00. Another way to say these times would be 900 hours and 1700 hours. But it's the exact same time shown in 3 different ways. Now, that was a lot of information, but with all that information, I would like you to do the following. In our mild problem, all you have to do is convert these times into analog clock times. In our medium problem, I would like you to convert these times into every other version of those times. For example, if it's shown in a 12-hour digital display, I would like to see it as an analog clock and a 24-hour digital display. And in our hot problem, I would like you to take the 6 times shown and move them 12 hours into the future in a 24-hour clock. And that's it. Now, I will leave a close-up version of the problem so you can pause, take your time, and complete the level or levels of challenge that you wish, and I can't wait to see your working and answers in the comments below. But I'll be back in a moment with the solutions. So you have paused, you have taken your time and completed the level or levels of challenge that you wanted to. Now let's take a look at the solutions, starting with our mild problem. The main goal of our mild problem was to understand that our minute hand always needs to point to 12 and our hour hand will point to whatever hour I've asked you to point it to. So at 7 AM, your clock should look like this. At 11 AM, your clock should look like this. And at 2 PM, your clock should look like this. How did you get on? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll be back in a moment with our medium solution. Thank you very much, mild solution Grant. Here is your medium solution. Let's start with 4 PM. What are the other ways we could show that time? If you said an analog clock and a 24-hour digital clock, well done. What would 4 PM look like as an analog clock? Well, it would look like this. The minute hand is pointing directly up to the 12. Remember, that's very important. If the hands were the other way around, it's the wrong time. So our minute hand is pointing to 12 and our hour hand is pointing to the 4, which will show that it's 4 o'clock. The other way to display 4 PM would be as a 24-hour time. Now, how could we show 4 PM as a 24-hour clock? Remember, it's after 12 o'clock, so we can't just say 0400. That would be 4 in the morning. What will we need to do with the 4? We could add on 12 because, well, 4 in the morning is 12 hours before 4 in the afternoon. So, if we add 12 onto the number 4, that gives us 16. So, our 24-hour display should be 1600 or 1600. Let's look at 1800 hours. The other two ways we could display this time is as a 12-hour digital display, which would be 6 PM, and as an analog clock with our minute hand pointing to 12 and our hour hand pointing to 6. Let's look at our analog clock last. Now, one thing to note about an analog clock, which we've not actually discussed, is the fact we don't know whether the time shown is in the morning or in the afternoon, whether it's ante-meridian or post-meridian, whether it's AM or PM. So this 8 o'clock could be 8 in the morning, but it also could be 8 at night. And we should take account of all 4 options of time that we could show this time as. So we could say in a 12-hour digital display that this is 8 AM, but also 8 PM. As a 24-hour clock, we could say that this is 800 hours, but it could also be 2000 hours. I got to that time because I had to add 12 onto 8. 8 plus 12 is 20. And those are the solutions to our medium problem. How did you get on? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll be back in a moment with the hot solutions. Thank you very much, medium solution Grant. Here is your hot solution. Now, with this last problem, there are a couple of things that I was trying to trick you with. Firstly, let's take a look at the first time. We should be able to go 12 hours into the future. If it's 900 hours as a 24-hour clock, 12 hours later would be 2100 hours. So I'll write that here. So 9 AM, 900 hours, 9 PM, 2100 hours. Now I've said 10:15 AM as a 24-hour time, and we need to go 12 hours into the future. How many of our numbers will change? Will it just be the first number, just the second number, or the whole number? If you said the first number, well done. 10:15 as a 24-hour clock is 22:15. The minutes don't change, it's only the hours that will change. I've only asked you to go 12 hours into the future. A thing that people get mixed up with is they think they need to add 12 to all the parts of the time to go forward half a day, or to change it from 12-hour time to 24-hour time. But we don't have to do that. It's only the hour hand or the hour number you need to worry about. In this same vein, 11:30 would be 23:30. Now the next one, 12:45. This is the first trick I was trying to play on you. I wanted to see what you would do. Some people may have said 24:45. That's wrong. That would not be the correct time, because in a 24-hour clock, we can't make our hours go beyond the number 23. It starts at 0 and goes up to 23. So if 12:45 is here, we need to say 00:45 to go 12 hours into the future. And in the same vein, our next two times would make you maybe fall for the same trick. You need to remember that we can't go beyond the number 23 in our hour hand. Our first one would be 01, 1 in the morning, 100 hours. And our final one would be 02:15. And those are the solutions to our HALT problem. Now the things I wanted you to think about during that problem was understanding that you need to add 12 to only the hour side of it. You don't need to worry about the minutes are just there to maybe confuse you. The other thing to focus on is that we can't go beyond the number 23 in 24-hour clocks and the hour side of it. So 12:45, 12 hours in the future, it changes back to 00:45. How did you get on? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, take care and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye!